from 1990. Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, Initiation. I don't know about you, but this next entry is going to be a painful one to talk about.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Maybe we're on the same page here. So once again, from 1990, this is Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, Initiation. Mark Skews, where is this on your list?
Oh, it's 6. It's number 6. Yeah.
Number 6, buddy.
Yeah, and these are the ones I dread because I'm like, oh god,
What are the odds?
Is this going to be one of those ones where Justin decides, like, all of a sudden he loves this one? No, this is
it's
piece
a pile
of shit.
It's a piece of shit. Piece of shit movie. It has nothing to do with Christmas. It goes against it goes against the entire franchise. We're gonna get into it. Let's I'm ready to rant.
Yeah.
I'm already hot, but it's shit. I'm glad you agree with me.
Yep.
It's the same thing.
I'm not excited about you having to summarize the plot of this.
Before I get into that, do you know who directed this?
Brian Usna.
Brian Usna, who directed Society,
Yep.
fantastic horror film, Bride and Beyond Reanimator, writer for the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids films. He also wrote the awesome horror film From Beyond.
Yep. I think he also wrote Reanimator, like the first one.
He's talented.
Like he's been involved with some pretty
really good production,
A-tier material in this genre, but not this one.
No, this is one of his duds, unfortunately. Let's get into the plot. It opens with a homeless man pushing a shopping cart on the sidewalk, played by
Clint Howard.
The more attractive of the Howard brothers, Clint, who you referenced earlier in the podcast, our serial character actor, Clint Howard. We love Clint Howard.
Bless him. He plays the same character all the time.
The weirdo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just plays the oddball guy.
Yep. But he leans into it. He knows what he is. Good for him.
He's good. I like Clint Howard. We all like Clint Howard. We don't like this movie that he's in, but we like him. Out of nowhere, he hears a scream from a nearby rooftop and sees a woman fall to the ground who's also like half caught on fire. It's like a burning corpse, like plummeting to the ground.
Well, she's all on fire until she hits the ground and then she's half on fire. So,
yeah. Okay. Something's going on there. He scuttles off as he hears sirens approaching, and we cut to credits. And I got to immediately make a criticism. This opening scene is like a minute. Like normally in a film, your intro is like, you either start with credits, but very few films do that. A lot of films have like your opening little bit, then we're going to have the credits. And that opening little bit is anywhere from like 5 to 10 minutes.
Yep.
This is like a minute. It's like, you see Clint Howard, he sees the one fall, and then he scuttles away, credits.
It doesn't really establish anything except that someone's died.
Right.
In a strange way.
Like television shows have longer intro cold opens. Yeah. The Office has longer cold opens than this shit. It's like a minute? It's so fucking quick. We cut to a man and a woman in a like some like skeevy hotel room or motel room, and they're like having sweaty hot sex, and one of them is our new protagonist for the series, a woman named Kim. Mm-hmm. She's a single lady. Well, she has a boyfriend, but he's kind of an asshole. Single lady trying to just make her way in the big city. She's trying to be a reporter, but she's completely ignored by her boss and all of her coworkers. And it's very little too on the nose, but it's like they're all men. It's like a boys' club, and I don't know. It's the 80s, so I guess this was definitely more prevalent. 80s, 90s. What movie? What time is this? This is 1990. So 80s, 90s. This was still more of an issue. Women trying to get ahead in the workplace. Yeah. So that's not too bad. But there's the scene with her and the guy, that's like the guy she's fucking around with, and they're having sweaty sex. They're like on a lunch break or something, because then they come back to work, and they work at like a newspaper.
The LAI, I think it is. I think it's the LAI.
It's something
Yeah.
Mark likes this movie. That's
I
why
don't.
that's why he
Yeah.
remembers these details. And she's trying to like pitch the boss on like, oh, that woman that like fell from the rooftop on fire, like there's a story there. And he like shuts it down, and like they literally close the door on her. Like all the guys go into this meeting and they close the door on her, and they're like, oh, hey, go get us some coffee there, sweetie.
Come on in, guys.
Listen, I've been working real hard around
You
here.
know, I haven't seen anybody work harder their first month.
Eli, maybe...
Oh, could you make some fresh coffee, please? Thanks.
I mean, that probably did happen. I'm not shitting on that part of it. It's just it feels on the nose. It feels cliche, but it probably was accurate to the time.
Yeah, it follows heavily in line with the undertone message of this movie, which we'll probably get to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She steps into this local bookstore. So she decides, she basically is just like, you know what? Fuck these men. I'm going to go do my own thing. And I'm going to research and report on this incident on my own free time.
Yep.
They can't stop me from doing that.
The boys will be boys aren't going to give me my shot. I'm going to just go and do it anyway.
Exactly, which I commend her for that. So then she goes to the crime scene, and she goes into like right where the woman like fell. There's like this bookstore that's in the same building the woman fell from.
Yep.
She goes in this local bookstore, and of course runs into Clint Howard. And Clint Howard is like, he's acting all creepy and weird, and she freaks out. I've already forgotten her name. Kim? Was it Kim?
Kim, yeah.
She freaks out Kim, and then Kim's like, get away from me, you fucking weirdo. And then the store owner comes and rescues her, and her name is Fema. Fema, who's like this a little bit of an older lady. Kim's a little bit younger. Kim, I would say, is probably like late 20s, maybe early 30s. Fema is probably more like late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah.
And she shoos away Clint Howard almost like she knows him. She's kind of like, oh, he's harmless. Let me just get rid of him. And she reveals his name.
No, Ricky. Now you go back up.
Ricky.
Yeah, I don't, this is the debate. I don't know if you want to have this now very quickly.
No, we're going to have it right now. So Clint Howard is Ricky. It's Ricky Freeman. It makes Ricky Caldwell.
But is it though?
No, it isn't. But
Right.
it is. Because why are you even using that name?
Like, yeah,
Why
like
even?
you should just avoid it if it's not the same character, because that name means something in the franchise. But
Right.
I can't honestly believe that it's meant to be the same character.
It's not, but it's just like
Yeah.
because again, these movies all seem to, other than 1 and 2 and kind of 3, they all kind of exist in their own universe.
Right.
So
Especially
like
now. Like this one, there's nothing about this one that relates it to the first 3.
right. And there's even a scene though that makes it seem that 3 is in, we're going to like, they all exist in their own thing, and they reference each other by showing you footage from the other ones, implying that in their universe, the other movies exist as just movies.
They're watching it like a movie like we are.
Right,
But,
which is fucking weird.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's Clint Howard. Vagabond Clint Howard is Ricky.
Yep.
He's our Ricky Caldwell. Okay, sure, but it's not really him. And okay, whatever. So then Fema is played by, did you catch who it is?
Maud Adams.
Maud Adams.
Yeah.
Yes. Maud Adams, who was a like prominent Bond girl.
She was in 2 Bond movies.
Yeah,
Actually, she was actually in 3. She had a very bit part in one movie, but she was in Octopussy.
Yes.
And she was in The Man with the Golden Gun.
Both good, actually decent Bond films. Yeah. And she was like a 70s model.
Yep.
You know, she was like, yeah. She was
This is
hot
kind of
for
the
a time.
first instance of a former famous actor, performer, taking up a surprising role in one of these movies. There's another actor that we'll come across in one of the,
Or
in
maybe
some
we
of the-
won't. Maybe
or
we won't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mark's alluding to something that maybe
Yeah.
that doesn't even happen.
Yeah. But yeah, surprising to see her in something like this.
Well, I mean, she wasn't that big. Like she was a Bond girl. Like, come on, Mark.
I mean,
that's not.
that's
Yeah, is that royalty?
that's
She was a nice piece of ass, so
Correct.
all the men gave her that role where she got to be a piece of ass.
Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 4.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, she was a major get. It's
Yep.
like, okay, she was a actor. I'm not even going to say like incredible actress. Like, I don't know that was true, but whatever. There's another person in the franchise that, or maybe there isn't. I don't know.
Yep.
So then Kim is like trying to get some information out of FEMA about like the incident. And she asks her for a book on spontaneous combustion. That's a real thing, by the way, spontaneous combustion. They don't talk. Wait a minute.
Yep.
You might know more about this than the average person. yeah, exactly. Mark's getting it.
He's just making it up.
Okay, he doesn't actually know.
Okay,
right.
Maybe it's a thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't. There's so much shit about spontaneous combustion and that shit. I don't know if that's true or not, or what's like.
Apparently, it like happened once to some woman.
Maybe I don't know. Like that's one of those weird. It's like Sasquatch. It's one of those things where it's like there's no real evidence, but there's like maybe some circumstantial evidence or partial evidence.
In the context of this movie, it seems like a stretch that would be the first place that she goes. That like her first instinct would be, well, maybe this woman clearly just burst into flames.
Yeah, that's
without
exactly
any.
what happened.
Yeah,
not like a gang maybe murdered her and lit her on fire or anything.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yep.
So then FEMA's like, oh yeah, here's the book you need. And then she also like gives her, FEMA gifts her another book. She's like, oh, wow, if you're interested in the weird and, unexplained, here's another book about creepy, weird shit. Here you go. And then she also invites her, she's like, a group of me and my friends, we get together at the park and we do like a picnic and we'd love to have you come join us. And she like invites her to
she's known her for all of about 38 seconds at this point, and now suddenly
already they have a connection. Instantly. FEMA then shows Kim up to the roof because it's the roof of the building the bookstore is on, like the lower level.
Yep.
And she's like, then FEMA just like disappears. She like brings her up there and then just disappears.
Lets her hang out.
Yeah, and then like Kim like starts inspecting, and then she starts feeling like woozy and sick. And then Ricky follows her up to the roof and like appears out of nowhere. And then we get this bizarre scene where like there's like a vent stack on the roof, and Ricky like reaches into the stack and pulls out like it's like this squealing centipede. It's like
some kind of larva of something, but it's
and he like holds
massive.
it up.
Yeah.
He's like,
it's like, get used to that.
What is happening?
Get used to that in this movie.
Yeah, we'll get used to what is happening. What am I seeing?
What kind of weird living thing is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And frightened, Kim runs away because, of course, Kim then goes home and reads a bit of the book that FEMA gave her where she sees a page about the spiral being a symbol of women's power. She then looks at her plate of spaghetti she's eating for dinner and sees the exact same spiral symbol in the sauce. Fuck off.
Yep.
What is this? Immediately? There's no subtlety. It's like, oh, that's a weird symbol that means something. Oh, there's the symbol. It's right there. Oh, okay,
look over at my spaghetti. There it is. Yeah.
It's like it's just such a quick payoff for that. It's not a payoff. It's just pointless. It's stupid. There's a subtle way of doing that. No. That's not how you do that. Character. It's like there's no build up. It's like, oh, there's this weird thing. Oh, there's the weird thing. It's right there.
In my plate of noodles.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Kim then goes to her lover's. So it's the guy, the boyfriend. It's kind of a boyfriend, but not really.
Hank.
Is it Hank?
Yeah.
Hank the plumber? Is he Hank the plumber?
Yeah, he's not as cool as the other Hank.
No, he's not. He's not as cool as the Freddy's Nightmares Hank. Hank. She goes over to Hank's house, and it's not Hank's house. It's Hank's parents' house, and they're doing a holiday get together.
Yeah, so she goes back to her place initially. She starts to I remember she starts to hallucinate and see like massive cockroaches and stuff all over the place.
Yeah, she starts seeing like bugs and insects and things.
Then he calls her because she was supposed to go and meet him at his parents'
but she didn't want to go. And then now she's freaked out. So then she goes anyways. And then we get basically our only scene of Christmas in the entire film is this right here. She goes over to meet the boyfriend's parents, and their house is like decorated like with Christmas tree. It's got a Christmas tree and like Christmas ornaments. And I think they're eating like Christmas cookies or some shit and looking at presents. And was the guy's name? Hank? And Hank's dad is like this asshole drunk. Yeah. And he's like being needlessly combative towards Kim. And it's revealed that like Kim's Jewish.
Yep. She celebrates Hanukkah. The dad goes off about how like a woman's place is, in the home. And
he's like, I think a woman's place is in the home raising a family. Woman was made from the rib of man.
Yeah. over the top with the,
Yeah, just this religious zealot asshole. Yeah. Kim and Hank then have a little lover's quarrel outside the house before instantly making up, and then they start making out.
Yeah, which is interesting because like she yells at him. I got the line here. Oh yeah, well fuck my attitude, fuck the job, and fuck you. And like she's angry because he didn't stick up for her in the
intro.
Right.
Where she wants the story.
So she's very angry with him, but then all of a sudden, like you said,
they just start making out. But then like Hank pushes it a little too far, and he like starts reaching up her skirt, and it's like it's right outside your parents' house. That's so weird. Yeah. And Kim obviously agrees with me because then she shuts it down and tells him to fuck off and drives away.
Yep.
Yeah. Kim then returns home to find a giant bug scuttling around her apartment. It's like a giant cockroach. She then starts feeling, after like a little bit of like she's fucking around, like trying to catch the thing, and then, I don't know, trying to figure out what it is. She's all freaked out. She tries to attack it. And then she just starts feeling like nauseous, and then like goes to the washroom and vomits, and then she passes out in the bathroom.
Yep.
And now we time skip, and now it's the next day, and Kim travels to the park where FEMA and her group is meeting, and we get introduced to two other women. So we've got FEMA, and then we've got this older lady, and then we've got a younger girl.
Yeah.
So it's like this is FEMA's little inner circle, little group, and they start chatting, and like they're like sitting on a picnic blanket, like in the middle of the park, in the middle of the day. It's like a nice day out, and they're like chatting about random bullshit, and FEMA and her friends are being all like smiley and polite, and they're drinking wine and having a good time. And I find it ironic that Kim is trying to be a reporter, and one of the skills of a reporter is attention to detail, and yet she fails to notice the giant spiral symbol on FEMA's sweater, the symbol that she just saw the previous day.
Freaked her out so badly that
she doesn't pick up on this. Right. It's like it stands out so much. FEMA's wearing like a sweater, but it's like this giant spiral symbol on her. Like, I wonder if that means anything, Mark. Do you think that spiral means anything? No, that's
just like tattoos on the wrist.
Oh yeah, it just means nothing, right? Yeah. Spiral. Get the fuck out of here. Kim tries asking the group about the burning woman, like from the intro of the movie, and she's like trying to be a detective and get a little bit information, and they're being like all dodgy and weird about it. And then the one, I think it's the younger girl, says something like, "She wasn't strong enough." Like what?
Yeah.
So you did know what happened? Right. Like first they're like, "Yeah, I don't know what happened."
What a strange comment to make about somebody that you don't know.
You apparently don't know? Yeah. Right. That's weird. Then they start telling Kim about the magnificent Lilith. Lilith, who's like this strong, powerful female historical figure of myth and fantasy, but maybe not. Well, not according to this movie anyways. Kim then is like, the group like goes off to chat for some reason. They leave Kim alone, and she's like lying on the fucking picnic blanket and like, half sauced, just kind of like zoning out. And then Loverboy shows up and he lectures. He's like, we got to go back to work. You have a job. Like, this is, important. Come back with me. And they go back where Kim gets a lecture from her boss. Her boss is played by Reggie Bannister.
Yeah, I don't...
He's going to come up in a future episode. Yep. Reggie, he also plays a character named Reggie from Phantasm.
Oh, okay.
He's from the Phantasm franchise.
Good.
So this is foreshadowing.
Right, yeah.
Maybe we're going to do Phantasm next.
Please? Please?
Yeah, you want to get into Phantasm movies? Also, only 5 entries. Only 5 entries with that. Then she convinces Reggie, hey, there's a story here. No, you got to let me work this story. And he's like, okay, fine. But only if Hank does it with you. Only if a man is involved. Otherwise, forget it, honey. I'm not going to let you have this story alone. I can't trust you with this. So then the two of them have to investigate the story together. And they go back to the crime scene again. They go back to the roof. And I find it hilarious that there's just no actual police investigation happening.
Nobody's investigating this at all.
Where are the police?
Right.
They just don't exist. There's not a single shot of the cops being outside. Nothing's taped off. There's a chalk outline on the sidewalk.
Which I thought was strange because of all the things, there's no police presence or investigation yet. The chalk outline is still there. Days after the incident, they don't just leave that on the ground forever and ever. They use it and then they wash it away. So it's just this lasting impression that somebody died here. It's just going to stay there.
No, they leave the chalk outline there so you know where not to step.
Oh, yeah.
That's so you're like, oh, shit, I got
forever.
I got to step. Yeah, forever. Yeah,
yeah,
right. Usually they spray paint it in permanent.
That's
white.
right. Then
it's not actually chalk.
Right? Yeah.
That's correct.
Why can't we get some cops like that?
No. So I wrote down. There doesn't seem to be any police presence of any kind. Is this from the precinct in Freddy's Nightmares?
Yeah.
Because that's the level of competence of the local
effort
cops
they put
apparently.
into. This all seems fine.
Well, we obviously can't solve this, so let's go. What the fuck? Kim goes and visits FEMA again.
Yep.
And FEMA gives her some tea, and it's she puts something in the tea and drugs her, and then she goes on some then FEMA gets her monologue now, and she goes on some whole diatribe about how men are parasitic and they don't pay attention to women's needs or some shit. I don't know. I wasn't really listening. And then Kim she starts eating a date, but it turns into a bug, and Kim starts feeling like shit again, and she goes in I'm struggling to go through this because I'm it's just so stupid. So then Kim is now feeling sick again. They keep doing this where she gets sick, and then she goes into this dreamy state, and then now we get this fever dream sequence. And it was right around this time I got bored and started watching trailers for the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids films.
I mean, if that's not a...
way more interesting. And I swear to God, this is what happened.
That's not a condemnation of how bad this movie is.
I was literally okay, pause. I need a break from this. And then I was yeah, I'm right. Because when I looked at Brian Usman, I was he wrote the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids films?
Yeah.
I'm that's kind of cool. He did Reanimator and those... because I grew up on those movies.
Yeah.
I loved those movies.
You would never have guessed now, looking back that was who did that, right?
Man, those movies are awesome.
Well, yeah,
Honey,
compared to
the
this.
Kids.
So, yeah.
Maybe we should do that.
Yeah, you want to do a special slash cinema episode? Honey?
Yeah. Slash Cinema Kids edition.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, they're kind of horror. A little bit.
It's got a big laser gun that shrinks people.
Yeah, I mean there's the giant bug.
Yeah.
There's the giant bugs that attack the kids.
Yeah.
And the idea of being shrunk forever is kind of horrific.
Now, do you think in the second Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, what was it? Honey,
I Blew Up the Kid.
Now, in Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, did they take half of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, all those scenes, and just put them into the second movie?
Yeah, because you basically don't need to watch the first one.
Right.
They give you all the best shrink moments from the first one are in the second one.
So Honey, I Blew Up the Kid then becomes the real first entry in the series.
Correct. That's the way to do it. Yeah.
That's how
Mark is a bitter old man, and I'm glad that the audience, are getting to see this side of him.
I'm not letting him off the hook
because he doesn't he presents, well, you look at him, you're like, okay, he's got clean cut. He doesn't have any sores on his face. He's married, so obviously somebody enjoys sleeping with him, maybe, or at least tolerates it. Like, we talk about his military career. Like, this is a man that you think is well put together.
Has it all together.
But below the surface is a petty, bitter individual that just wants to see the world burn.
Half the movie.
Mark, all we're missing right now is Mark's activation, and you will go on your own Billy killing spree. Right.
Naughty.
Yeah, exactly.
Naughty.
Yeah, naughty. Part 2. Yeah. Are you going to track down the filmmakers and kill them?
No.
They're good guys. Yeah.
They mean well.
They did well.
You know what? We should get Eric Freeman. Eric Freeman on the show. Like I
would love to have Eric Freeman.
And
on the show.
I will give him shit on the.
He didn't make that decision.
It's not his fault.
Though. Yeah,
but he represents the movie.
If we get Eric Freeman on the show, you will not be invited to that show. I just want to be hanging. Eric. He's gonna sit right there, buddy.
Yeah,
he's gonna sit right in that seat. All you're doing is keeping that warm for the next guy.
All right, Eric, call us.
Challenge accepted. Back to this awful film.
Yep.
So she has like a fever dream, and then Kim wakes up to find the women around her performing some kind of weird ritual. And
it's
Ricky,
like a cult. It's like that's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, it's a cult. And then Ricky appears again, and now that's the reveal that Ricky is actually working for them. He's like their little helper guy.
Like a little henchman almost.
Yes. Yeah. And they put like a giant centipede in her stomach.
Yep.
And then she pukes it out. And then she passes out again.
Yeah.
And like now at this point, we're at the 50-minute mark. It's like there's not a ton of movie left.
No.
And not much has happened other than Kim running around and FEMA doing weird shit and Kim getting sick and bugs everywhere.
She keeps going back to this FEMA person.
Why?
And she ends up, violently ill every time, but for some reason.
It's not turning out good for you, honey.
This
Stop
isn't
going
working.
there. So then she goes to see Hank and like she's possessed. Because so something is now inside her because her personality shifts, and then she tries to fuck Hank, and then they start fooling around, and then Ricky shows up at Hank's place, and like it's such a weird scene where like they're fucking, and then Ricky just kind of walks in and ignores them, and like sits down on the edge of the bed and puts TV on. And what's on the TV, Mark?
I can't remember which one, but it's another one of these entries.
It's the intro to Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 3.
No, don't stop.
Yeah.
That's on the TV. So I guess that exists as a film in this universe. So Laura is not coming back. Like
the whole scene reminded me of Rain Man, because there was a scene in the movie Rain Man where Tom Cruise and his girlfriend are getting it on, and Dustin Hoffman, he hears noises coming from the other room, so he walks in and doesn't understand what he's looking at, so he just sits on the end of the bed and watches TV until they realize that he's sitting there, while they're doing this. So the Rain Man scene. They did it with a little bit more class, I think, in Rain Man than they did
in Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 4 Initiation.
Yeah,
in this film.
Yes, right.
So then what follows is basically Kim sliding further into madness as the female cult pursues her, along with their little henchman Ricky, as we slowly learn the group's true intentions. That is the plot of Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 4.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's
a
mess.
fucking mess. Yeah. My first point. Ricky is back again. Yeah. But it's not Ricky. So why'd you even do that? But like, okay, fine. It's not Ricky. Let's just get that shit out of there. It's not him, right? They just use the same name to be shitheads, right? What is this character? I like Clint Howard.
Yep.
What are you in this movie? I don't understand this character.
Like, it made sense at the beginning when he was a homeless guy, because you see him rooting through the trash to get something to eat, and then the body falls on the ground. He just happens to be there.
Right.
But then you find out that he's kind of related to the whole thing.
He's connected. He knew what was even happening too. And like, he's all his character is so fucking bizarre. Like, he's all weird and awkward, but then like he talks to Kim like they know each other.
Santa Claus killer. Get the hell out of here. Kim? Hey, Kim, come on. We gotta go.
Yeah.
Which is weird. It's like, you don't know her, but he's like, come on, Kim, we gotta go. Come on, like, quit messing around.
Yeah.
It's like, she's not your buddy. Like, why are you talking to her like that? Like, he's clearly simple-minded.
Yeah.
I think is what he was, like I think that's what Clint Howard was going for. And there's also like a weird scene where like, he kills the boyfriend, and when he kills the boyfriend, like, he like holds up a knife and he's like, don't fuck with me.
Don't fuck with me.
And it's just so like,
Yeah.
it's so goofy, and I can't take it seriously because he's acting like a jackass.
I don't know if you want to talk about it now, but he like sexually assaults her.
Oh yeah, I got that down.
Yeah.
Yep. So, there's a ritual scene they perform, and in the ritual scene, Clint Howard is wearing a mask with like a giant dick nose.
There's like a dick nose on the front of his mask.
And it's like more obnoxious. So like they already did the dick nose mask famously from A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
And that's clearly what they're trying to go for. It's even more obnoxious looking. It's like they just stuck a dildo onto a fucking thing. I'm like, what is this? And then, so while Kim is like possessed, they get Clint Howard to like fuck her, and then they're slathering, like all the women are like slathering Clint Howard in like oil, and he's graping Kim, and he starts squealing in ecstasy.
Yeah. There's lots of more larvae, those like big, I don't know, insect type things or creatures that, you know, going into her body and go. It's
what this level of insanity?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
What is this? The other moment that annoyed me with the Ricky character is like, he kills the boyfriend, but then like again they're trying to go like he's simple-minded. He's being manipulated by the cult.
Yeah.
Because then like Kim's friend shows up, and it turns out she's also a member of the cult. After Clint Howard Ricky kills the boyfriend, Hank, and he's like, he acts like a child. He's like, he made me do it. I didn't want to do it, but he made me kill him. And it's like, what? What is this performance? It's awful. It's a shit character.
I don't like the movie could have been fine without him, right? They could have just had one of the women cult members do the stupid things that he does, but I guess maybe they just needed to have this like shock character in there, because he's definitely like strange, and you know he's off-putting having him in there, but he's unnecessary.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Kim.
Okay.
She has way more motivation going for and character depth than Laura did.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a far superior protagonist. And yet I'd rather watch that moody blind girl any day of the week over this fucking chick. Yeah. Because it's like I don't know how to say this.
Because the whole premise behind the movie is pointless and stupid. It makes her efforts towards solving this mystery just seem useless as well. Like I don't care if you figure out what happened.
Right,
like
because it's like Kim, okay, so we relate to her. So immediately they give her more depth than Laura, because they're like, okay, she's a single white female trying to make her name for herself in the big city, trying to get ahead in her job in a cutthroat industry, and she's trying to like get to the bottom of this mystery. But then at no point does she even really get to do that, because she just gets half the movie. It's just her hallucinating and going from one fever dream to the next fever dream and basically losing her mind. So you don't really get any character growth. She doesn't really get a good arc. You just see her fucked up half the movie.
Yeah.
And that gets old watching that. Like, it's not fun to watch, right? So it makes it hard to root for her.
Yeah.
So she kind of sucks as a protagonist. Yeah.
I think one of my biggest criticisms of this is that it is rooted in, I don't know if there's a formal name for this, but I would call it like bio horror or
I think the term you're looking for is body horror.
Body horror.
Yeah, so that's what this is. So one of my only positives, the effects are good.
Yeah, but they're poorly used.
They are because the movie's stupid.
Yeah.
But in another movie, you would like these effects. Do you know who did the effects?
Screaming Mad George.
Screaming Mad George.
Yeah.
Also responsible for the effects in Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4 and I believe Reanimator.
Yeah, I mean you could
Society, I believe is like prominent horror films.
I would say common for a Brian Usna movie to have those kinds of effects, and we see them utilized well in something like Reanimator, where the story aligns with the usage of those kind of organic horrors, right? But in this one, I just felt like it was way off, right? First of all, it has nothing to do with Christmas, right? We already talked about that.
Let's get to that.
But,
yeah, let's get to that. Well, actually, before we get, I just want to shout out a couple of the cool effects that I liked. So, like we've got at one point like Kim's hands like morph into a mouth.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And there's like the one where they all kind of become like spaghetti string all of a sudden.
Yeah, that was a really cool. I've never seen that done in a movie before. Like her fingers elongate and then become like stringy.
You are me. You are.
Yeah.
That was a really creepy effect. There's some legit good body horror effects in this film. The giant bug actually looked pretty cool too in Kim's apartment. The giant cockroach creeping around.
They look legitimate. It's just why though? Like what was the why are they trying to get her to hallucinate? Like what's the point of giving her all these drugs? Like could they just like I understand when we if we want to talk about the ending, why the cult's motivation.
Well, the cult is trying to perform some ritual to put Lilith, who's their god, into Kim's body. And the ritual at the beginning that they attempted was Fima's daughter, but it was unsuccessful and it didn't take, so Fima died.
Yeah. Or Fima's
daughter died. Yeah.
So and I guess the impact of this, procedure, this ceremony that they put the woman through, causes them to hallucinate and all this, but it's just, I don't know. There's a better execution here. They just didn't find it.
The problem is you got cool effects in a stupid movie.
Yeah.
They're just wasted in this film.
It's like it's a showcase for effects.
Yes.
But not a movie featuring effects.
Right. Speaking of that ritual, there's actually a funny moment where like after the ritual, Kim like wakes up and she's in like a meat locker, and then like the Asian butcher storms in, and it turns out he actually owns the meat locker, which is the interpretation here that like the cult rents this out from him.
You have been initiated. You go. Now.
Okay, they did the thing. You got your god in you. Now get out of here. I got like meat to chop up.
He's in on it too. Like this whole building seems to know about this ritual that they're doing, right? They're all in on it, except nobody else seems to know, right? And our character Kim gets subjected to it. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
I was so confused by the time we got to the point where she wakes up with him, because so many things had happened that didn't make any sense that at this point I was like, you know what? I don't even care why this butcher is coming back into the movie. I didn't care about him when we first saw him, and I certainly don't care about him now. I don't. These characters are lost on me.
I mean, you touched on this already, but like the biggest problem with this film is like Christmas is just gone now.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no Christmas.
It shows up.
What the fuck does this have to do with that? Yeah. So we got when the parents' house. The parents' house is decorated for Christmas, and then there's an office Christmas party for like a minute, and that's it. Yeah. And I guess technically, at one point, Ricky strangles Hank's father with Christmas lights. At one point,
more Christmas lights.
The Christmas light strangle. Yeah. But like you look around and like if I took shots, like just random shots from this movie. And we got shots. We got an undecorated apartment. The bookstore is not decorated for Christmas. Not even the newspaper place that they work at. If I just took these random shots and showed you them and go, what holiday do you think this movie takes place in?
4th of July?
Like you wouldn't have a fucking clue.
Yeah.
if anything, it actually kind of feels closer to Halloween because really this movie's about witches.
Yeah.
This is like the cult, they're like witches. So we got witches in a Christmas movie. Oh yeah, witches just screams Christmas, right? Like what the fuck? And Yuzna basically admitted to this.
Yeah.
So when interviewed about this film, he said, all that Christmas shit from the other films, yeah, I didn't care for any of that. I mean, he didn't say that exactly. That's me.
Paraphrasing.
I paraphrased it, but yeah, that's basically what he said.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, then why even make this?
Why? Yeah.
Why make the fourth entry in a Christmas horror, a horror Christmas themed franchise?
Like you have enough clout at this point. You can go and just make your own movie.
Right.
If you wanted to call it Space Slugs or something, or or Man Hate, as the movie's really trying to get across that men are terrible, and that
Which we are, fair enough. Yeah.
And that
so one thing it gets right.
Yeah, and that no woman should ever want to be around a man or depend on a man for anything, right? Like, which I don't care. Like it's fine. Like but it's just so they hit you so hard on the head with this message that that was like the theme of this cult, is that they don't like men, and that it's a man-hating witch coven. So we're gonna
cult,
bring
whatever.
out our goddess of women, and I don't know, like what were they gonna do if they actually?
What did this movie remind you of? There's another entry in another franchise where the director just made his own fucking movie and didn't care about the lore from the previous entry.
I was originally thinking Nightmare on Elm Street, like one of the Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Yeah.
This is Elm Street 2.
I'm just going to tell my own story.
Yeah.
And I will use this as the wrap around the story, but I'm going to make it.
But I just want to make a story about witches and bugs.
Yeah.
That's another big motif in this film. Bugs. We get all these shots of bugs, Mark. Small bugs, big bugs, creepy crawlies.
Yeah.
Bugs.
Yeah. Why?
Because that's Christmas, buddy. Christmas is bugs.
And what were they going to do with this what did you call her? The goddess that they're
Lilith.
Lilith. What were they going to do with Lilith?
They're going to have
if
like
they were
a
successful
big fucking...
That's right.
I can't show that on camera. I can't show what I just did, but I did a thing that
you did the double thumbs up. Right?
That's what I did. That's
it.
exactly what they did. Well, yeah, they were just gonna have a big scissor fest, and that's what was gonna happen with like I broke Mark. They were gonna.
You know what? Sometimes when a question pops into my head, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I don't need to ask this question. I probably should just not ask that question. What are they gonna do?
Well,
with
you
me?
got a good answer, and the ending is just stupid. It just turns into a mess. Where like they try to finalize the ritual, and like Kim. I don't even know what she's like turning into Lilith or something, and then she just like impales Fema, and then Fema bursts into flames and like falls off of the roof. Oh, and then at one point like Ricky tries to save Kim, and then Fema like cuts his stomach open, and then like maggots attack him and like eat his insides. So Ricky's dead.
And there was
then why even have him around? Like,
they kidnap Lonnie. Hank's younger brother.
That's what it was.
They need to sacrifice him
this.
They make a male sacrifice to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Because Lilith going into your body is not enough. Now we have to. So that's what the last thing was.
Yeah.
It's like, they're like, kill the kid. And they're like, no. And then Kim's like, no, I'm not going to kill this like innocent boy. And then I find it hilarious when like Fema's body, like she like bursts into flames. She like falls off of the roof and then she like hits the ground. And the other members of the cult do nothing.
Nothing.
They just stand there.
They're just like, oh, well, that's...
They just stand there and watch Fema's body burn. That's it. And then Kim and Lonnie walk away and it hard cuts to credits. There's no epilogue. There's no other story to tell. It's just like, no, that's it.
I got the sense for some reason, maybe I missed that Fema was trying to bring her daughter back through Kim. So not necessarily that Kim was the next in line for whatever it was that Fema's daughter didn't successfully complete. But after what happened to Fema's daughter, she was then trying to bring her daughter back to life through Kim. And that was what I don't know. I could be way off. I don't I don't remember whether like there wasn't enough here to hold my interest, right? So I didn't quite get to the point where I was Googling Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but there was a few moments where I kept checking the runtime to see how much more I had to. You got to pace yourself watching some of these. I'm like, oh God, 22 minutes. Okay.
This,
I can do it.
after watching Freddy's Nightmares,
Yeah.
this series was a breath of fresh air because this is actually the shortest franchise we've tackled to date.
Yep.
Only 6 entries. Previous record was Child's Play was
8.
Eight, I
did
believe.
8.
Yeah, I think it's 8. Yeah, with the remake, it's 8.
Yeah.
So 8 was the previous one. So now 6 entries. That's for us. We can do that standing on our head, no problem. The 4th entry was I felt like I was back watching Freddy's Nightmares. Just going, what am I watching?
Yeah.
What is happening? Stop showing me random bullshit. All these characters suck. I can't follow this, and it's not interesting. And I'd rather watch Honey, I Shrunk the Kids trailers.
I watched them in release order, and this was a massive speed bump.
You just hit a brick wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Enough said. Anything else do you want to add?
The only thing I will, like, if I have to find like sort of one good thing, there was when Hank gets killed. Do you remember how he dies?
Yeah, he gets like his throat slit, and she's hiding under the bed, and like,
Yeah.
they see like the blood pooling at his
Yeah.
feet.
So the way that they do it is like you don't get to actually see him getting wounded. You're just seeing his feet, and they're slowly getting covered in the blood as you can
and you
hear.
hear like
Yeah.
yeah.
So I thought it was kind of an interesting way of killing him. Like I don't know if I would
but then
say
it's immediately undone because then Ricky's like, I didn't mean to
Yeah.
kill him.
Yeah.
He made me do it. He made me do it. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh.
But the visualization was like, okay, like they tried something different, but yeah, not enough to redeem the movie by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah,
It takes it from a 0 to 10 to a 0.5 out of 10.
yeah.